Good morning. Today I have my daughter-in-law Beth with me to talk about a quilt I'm making now. We'll talk a little bit about the creative process I go through when I'm doing such a one-of-a-kind quilt.
So can you tell me about the latest quilt that you're working on?
Yes, I'm making a silk quilt in which I'm using a central theme of a machine embroidered design. I digitized the design in the software myself, and it's a fairly large centerpiece, and it required a lot of multi-hooping, which had to match up completely with
getting those to line up so your center part doesn't go off kilter.
That's right. It was somewhat difficult, but it came out pretty well. And right now I've got the whole top made, and I put borders on it that are about this wide. I did not know what I wanted to do with those borders, except that I knew I wanted them to be out of this material and about 7 or 8 inches wide.
Yeah,
and
figuring out the quilting in a border is tough.
That's right. And I had also been a while since I did any formal quilting, so I needed the practice. So I made several samplers, and I marked them off to the right width. So each of these widths is a border try. The first one, and it's made of the same fabric that I made the quilt
this is matching you fabric there, so you can get practice working with that fabric too. Because I imagine there's some challenges working with the slicker. Shiny is gorgeous with the shine on it and whatnot, but I imagine that makes it a little different to work with under the the quilting machine.
That's right. This is Radiance is the name of the fabric. It's 50% silk and 50% cotton, and it responds very well to quilting, but it is a little challenging because it's slippery and slatty. Yeah.
I tend to work in all cotton, so I've not had any experience with this.
Yes.
But I do like the shine of it. It makes it look very... I love how it looks with the shininess of it. Even this one where you've got most of the outer parts with the tighter stempling, I like how that highlights the beautiful quilting here.
Right. Well, these samplers I make quite frequently, and the first one I made was for a different quilt, but it shows the feather work, and so I had taken it out to see if I wanted to do feathers, and I decided I didn't want to do feathers on this quilt because it didn't really match the type of quilt very well.
Right.
And so the first thing I did was just a simple thing. I did a little feathering here, and I did some swirls and stuff. And this was basically to get my quilting abilities.
Quilting chops back in.
Yeah, right, that's right. And so then I had taken a look at, there's a 11th century type of quilt that I really like, which is ancient manuscript. And they often put, these ancient manuscripts are often bordered with some very fine painting and beautiful designs and so forth. So I took a section of one of those designs, and I decided I wanted to do it sort of like that, with flowers and a vine in the middle and curls and stuff like that. And so doing one of these samplers gives me answers a lot of questions. In the first place, it helps me quilt again.
Right.
In the second place, I didn't know what color fabric, what color thread I wanted to use on it. And so these are tests of colors of thread. So this is a dark blue, this is a dark red, and then on this one I had a lighter green, and then a darker green, and then all black. And
I like the dark green a lot.
Yes.
It almost hides, but that also you can, especially with the tighter stempling around it, you can really see how the unquilted parts pop up.
Right. The other thing I didn't know was how I wanted to do the background of the design. Now here we have micro stippling, and here I have echo quilting.
Right.
I decided on the micro stippling.
I personally am usually a fan of the micro stippling. The echo quilting has its place too. I like the swirly echoes. But I find, personally, I feel like this one lets the quilting shine a little bit more so.
I think you're right.
But different borders need different have different challenges.
That's right. So also, one of these, was it this one? Yeah. I don't think you can see it on the camera very well, but one of these I did very close,
Back and forth lines?
back and forth, yeah, lines, after I finished the micro stippling of this, because this is what I'm planning on doing in the centerpiece, which is a different thread, a different fabric. It's Dupioni silk.
Okay.
But it's the same color.
Right, and I imagine it'll have some of the same shininess, etc.
Right. And so I decided this was too narrow, so I ordered a new ruler, which hasn't come yet, with a slightly wider, to do that around the center.
This is about an eighth of an inch?
This is an eighth of an inch. I ordered a quarter of an inch ruler that's going to help me do it's by Lisa Caille, who makes fabulous rulers for my small hands.
Yeah, her rulers are really good.
Right. And so anyway, I tried several ways of getting the vine in the middle, and this one I used some rulers, and this one I used some rulers. This one I used some longer rulers, and I didn't get them joined very well. So I
just take practice.
Yeah, it just takes practice. And this one I used a shorter ruler, and it's more even. But then I decided, well, let's just try something different.
Okay.
So on this pattern, on this section, I did. Let's move back because it's going to make it bump funny. Okay. So on this section, I made some stencils that I pounced on, the pounce marker.
Right.
Because I have found in the past that pounce marking on this kind of satin weave works the best. Yeah, because if
One thing about marking, you gotta make sure your marks come out. And I know from my experience, chalk type things come off pretty easily.
Right, but the other problem is with this slick fabric is that it wipes off real well while you're quilting.
You don't want it to come off too soon either.
That's right. So the pounce does tend to stay on.
That's
and
good.
It goes away when you iron it.
That's good.
Yeah. So anyway, so
these are all stencil based?
Yes, they're stencil based, but I made the stencils out of freezer paper, and I stitched through them, and then I pounced it. And maybe I can show how to do that at a future video. And so that's what I did, and I think I have decided on this color thread and this kind of background. And by the time, if you look closely, you'll see that as I progress through this, my quilting gets better and better. And this is...
Yeah, you kind of got to get that muscle memory for the pattern that you're quilting.
That's right. It's really neat to be able to make your own stencil, though, because you can place it in just the right place. You can get just the right kind of stencil.
Right, yeah, you got to make sure you get that, especially with borders. Every border is a little bit different and has its own challenges. Now,
my borders have a cornerstone of the same fabric.
So are these some ideas for your cornerstones?
These are some ideas for the cornerstones, and I think I may like this one better, and I may like this one better. I don't like this one at all. So it's a sink for one thing, but the design is okay. But I will be able to tell more with that because I have decided I probably need to paint.
Okay, that was going to be my other question. Is you had mentioned painting on some of the other ones, and I know you've done that in some of your previous quilts. So are you going to paint some of the flowers, or?
I think I'll paint the whole design that's not micro stippled, and I will use what I've already done here as practice pieces to practice.
Start painting on these to see how it comes out,
and to choose colors.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be basically green with a little bit of gold. And maybe there'll be some blues here where they're flowers. So
okay.
And when I do this, I've done it on several quilts, so I already know I use 3 to 4 colors to make the leaves, for instance.
To give it a little bit of dimension in the leaves.
Right.
What color are you thinking about doing the flowers? I'm sorry, I think I missed
blues, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, blues, yeah. So anyway, I don't know what I'll do with the corners. Probably to fit in somehow with
I
what's
like
going on.
this design, and I'm wondering if you could do like a red center and then kind of yellows and blues and
Yeah.
some.
I don't know that I want to deviate that far from the greens and blues because the center.
Yeah, I don't know that you want to add yellow. You're
Yeah.
right.
One of the things that I can do with these after I've got these done is hold them up, fold them so I have the right size.
Right, and hold them up to
And
your
hold
quilt.
them up to my quilt and to the center, the quilt I've already
Right.
made, and I can tell from that what colors work best. So it's a really important thing to do these samplers,
Yes, it is.
especially when you're doing a high end quilt like this.
Yeah.
And because it answers all of these wonderful questions. It answers how you want to do it. It gives you time to practice. It helps you pick your colors. It helps you pick your thread weights. And it helps you practice your painting if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And it helps you pick, which designs you're going to do, like in the corners. So I think it's a great
Would you
thing.
consider doing the corner in the same color thread that you have over here? This is black thread.
Yeah, I think I'll do it in the same color. I hadn't done anything in black thread, so except the start off, and
Right.
I wanted to see what it looked like, so that's why I did that in black thread.
We'll have to see how it looks whether you paint this or not.
Right. Well, I'll be painting it to
how you want to paint it to make
right.
it look like this.
Yeah.
Because if you leave it unpainted, that's gonna just make it disappear.
Since it's small, I could always do a second sample if I need to.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think this is my choice. Although this one
is very nice too, and it
look
has
right
its benefits.
once it's painted. I mean, I'm going to paint them both, and make sides that, and I'll maybe consult with you to see what you like, because I do know you're an artist.
Yeah, most of my quilts tend to be a little more traditional based with the stereotypical pieces and whatnot, but
you
I
do
like
draw.
the art. Yes, I do a lot of drawing too, and I like the art quilts to give them a little bit more. They have a different purpose, but they also have they can be very beautiful.
Yeah, the purpose for this quilt is that I'm going to make it. It's a wall quilt,
Right.
It'll be about 50 by 50 somewhere in there, and it will be. I will use it first as a show quilt. Well, I'll send it around to various shows and see if I can earn a ribbon. And second, when it's had it's about a 3-year round that most show quilts have before they get too old, they age out, they call it. And so then I'll hang it somewhere or give it to somebody or do something else with it, because it's kind of special quilt. And the embroidery center came out really well. I was so pleased with it. So anyway, do you think you might try something like this?
I will probably stick to my traditional quilts, but I am fascinated to learn how these are done. One of these years I might branch out into more art quilting, but right now I'm more into what I would call the functional quilts, the ones that you put on a bed.
But even functional quilts they have borders that you need to decide how to do.
Yes, that definitely, this sort of thing definitely could apply on a functional quilt's border, because sometimes the border and the sashing can be where you can play a little bit more with your quilting.
Because functional quilts need to be beautiful too.
Yes, they do.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll get together again sometime and have a nice chat about
Maybe when you're
things.
done with this and have some more decisions on this, we can do the same sort of thing where we talk about what you're doing next and things like that, and how what decisions you made and why you think that one works out better
Yeah,
than
and
this
also
one.
you can help me look at the after I've done the paint samples. Maybe you can help
Yeah.
me decide.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll see you later, folks.
Bye.